It's Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods.
He's fried. .06 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. It's a Wednesday. Over the hump we go.
Today's show is sponsored by Sweet and Spicy Toilet Paper. Because life is, well, you need...
No.
I mean, life needs... Okay, I don't know why you would need this.
I know one reason. A perfect gag gift.
Warning, this show contains reference to guns, liberty, limited government, low taxation, the cult of climate change, free thinking, cigar smoking, short people, rubber chickens, Karen's bureaucracy, liberal buzzwords, tour runs, traffic, toilets, terrible jokes, and more. No apologies will be issued. Guest callers may express any opinion they want without fear of being canceled. Unless you're a loudmouth jerk like Dave, then Glenn will hang up on you. Strap in, hold on to your coffee, and feel free to participate.
This disclaimer does not refer to every person named Dave, just one particular Dave from San Francisco. We know a lot of Daves. They call this show all the time, and they're great people. So don't call this program and complain that we use your name. That would be a real Dave move, Dave.
The first story I have up here is just a warning to some people, and it has to do with road rage. And I do know, I've known all my life people who just get behind the wheel and they get into this road rage mode. Stop it. It's not the other guy, it's you. So here's a story out of Cheyenne. 25-year-old Cheyenne man facing a handful of charges following suspected DUI crash. So he may have been a little lit when he did this, but I know people who aren't lit, they're not drunk, and yet they still do this kind of stuff. According to arrest records, police were called to the scene, North College Drive, around 10:30 p.m. and arrived to find a red Dodge Ram. Ironic, that name. Keep that in mind. It's a Dodge Ram. And a silver Nissan Pathfinder with extensive damage. Police say the vehicles collided with three power poles, estimated to cost approximately $30,000 a power. Wow. So that's how much they cost. $30,000 a power box, estimated at approximately $5,000 of property fences and about $5,000 in other property damage around, and approximately $15,000 resulting in power outages in the area. Boy, these guys have racked up a bill. Okay, well, police say the driver of the pickup had alcohol on his breath, poor balance, slurred speech, glassy eyes, and told them that the driver of the SUV tried to cut him off. So, police say, oh, by the way, he had an expired registration, April of 2023. And also THC vape pen in his pocket and all sorts of other things. This guy is not leading his best life at this point. So he was run through 3 standard field sobriety tests, which, of course, he basically flunked them all. But all right. Police say later at the hospital, Gomez said, someone tried to cut me off and I wasn't going to stop. Like the thing cops do. You know, the pit maneuver. Okay. I wasn't going to let him cut me off, by God. For those who don't know the pit maneuver, police officers are trained, if you're in a chase with them and they can get up alongside you on your back wheel, they will take the front of their car and turn and run into your back wheel at an angle, and it will cause you to spin out. That's the pit maneuver. Gomez says he told them he was approximately doing 50 to 55 in the 40 zone when he initiated the pit maneuver. Police say the driver of the SUV was seriously injured in the crash and was taken to the hospital emergency center and then taken to Colorado for surgery. Quote, I don't have any updates at this time, according to police officials in that area. Gomez was later charged with aggravated assault, a felony punishable by up to 10 years in prison and $10,000 fine. So he's got all of this damage that he caused that he's got to take care of. The light poles, and, of course, the boxes up on the light poles, and the fencing, and the vehicles, this guy's hospital bills. Gomez was also charged with DUI, possession of marijuana, expired and improper registration. Again, this guy's not leading his best life at this time. Yeah, all right. I just wanted to point that out because I do know some people who, when they get behind the wheel, drunk or not, doesn't matter. They suffer from road rage. And they want to do stuff like this. Don't. The pit maneuvers for cops, don't. All right. Next, you might have noticed that gas prices have kind of popped up again. Yeah, I bet you have. All right, so Biden's at it again. Now, I've got to watch reading this story because it's from AP News, and you know AP News. They're biased, and they get a lot wrong in general. Between the two, mistakes they make and their bias, it's difficult to read them. And the story says the Biden administration said Tuesday is releasing about 1 million barrels of gasoline from our reserve. Here we go again. In a bid to lower prices at the pump this summer. The sale from the storage sites in New Jersey and Maine will be allocated in increments of 100,000 barrels at a time. The approach will create a competitive bidding process, they hope, that will ensure gasoline flows, prices come down. The move, which the department said is intended to help lower costs for American families and consumers. What does our strategic reserve look like right now? Because I don't remember Biden really ever replenishing the strategic reserve. And this is another one of those things, if you really want to lower prices, hey, government, get regulation away. I want some regulations to make sure they are doing it clean and safe, but CO2 is not a pollutant, so you know. But get regulation and a lot of taxation out of the way and let the free market take over, and we'll get lower gasoline prices. But all right. Energy Department said sale of 1 million barrels, about 42 million gallons, was timed to provide relief for motorists during the summer driving season. Yes, and higher poll numbers for Biden. Gasoline prices are about $3.60 per gallon nationwide, up from a year ago. Tapping gasoline reserves is one of the things that presidents will try to do. And this story here says, well, it works. Yeah, a little bit. Biden administration is, quote, this is a quote, the Biden-Harris administration is laser-focused on lowering gas prices at the pump so American families can hit the road this driving season. Wait a second now. Hold on. I thought you guys wanted to fight climate change. Let's go back and read it, because this is a press release from the Biden administration and the energy secretary as well. The Biden administration is laser-focused on lowering gas prices at the pump for American families, especially as drivers hit the road for summer driving season. See, now, at the same time, they want to fight climate change and get you to stop using what they mislabel as fossil fuels. Well, if they really were interested in saving the planet, then they would want higher gas prices so you would stay at home and not drive around as much. They wouldn't want you driving more, which shows that the bulk of this really has to do with it's an election year. We're getting kind of close to the first debates between Trump and Biden. And so those gasoline prices, by God, they got to be a lot lower. So go ahead. Let's dip into the strategic oil reserve yet again. And I'm not even sure. I'll have to look it up. Have we even tried replacing what we had before? I don't remember that we did.
Water has a warning label. Water has a warning label. Look at all the writing on a bottle of water. Warning, do not swallow cap. I think we can afford to lose those people, right? Time to lose some of the cap swallowers. Now we're down to 6.5 billion. Do not refill. Because maybe some of us will figure out the old stuff tastes a lot like the new stuff. They'll put anything on there to protect themselves. Warning, this was bottled in a factory where there were once peanuts. An old peanut might have fallen into the water. There's a shellfish factory next door. Shellfish might have walked over and dipped its toe in the water. Warning, the guy who bottled this may have had eggs for breakfast. If you're pregnant, ask your doctor if you can drink water. May or may not contain water. If you're still reading this, get help.
Where Wyoming comes to talk. This is Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods on K2 Radio. Be part of the show at 888-97-WOODS.
6:23 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. All right, starting with just a couple of driving stories with you this morning, just for something different. Let's go to Gillette real quick. Love the headline, Cowboy State Daily. Gillette woman says she regrets ramming car of her boyfriend's mistress. A Gillette woman accused of seeing red, giving into her rage, and ramming into the car of her boyfriend's mistress said she would like to apologize for her actions. She said, I guess I'd like to say I'm sorry to the public. I apologize for my action. They were wrong. Glad she's thought of this. 34 years old, reflecting on this while she's in court. She said her boyfriend and the father of her child had a temporary fling with another woman during a relationship break. She and the other woman were discussing the issue when the other woman messaged asking who works delivering for DoorDash. So here's the thing. The woman, not the other woman, but the woman, was asked to deliver food through DoorDash. Oh, guess where she has to go? Investigation started about March 17th, 9:09 p.m. when a Gillette Police Department officer responded to a report of a hit and run. There were officers, they found a Volkswagen Beetle with a heavy rear end damage. Boy, that's a classic car. Don't do that. To the passenger side. And evidently, affidavit filed in court. So basically, she showed up doing DoorDash and said, oh, my God, that's the other woman, and got mad and rammed her car. No. Bad. But then again, here she is, 34 years old. She's unmarried with a kid and in a relationship with a guy that's on again and off again. So you understand the personality types we're dealing with here, right? All right, now this guy I admire. Green River high school senior, puts googly eyes on everything in school, including the urinals. Now, see, this kid I can get behind. Again, another Cowboy State Daily story. Green River High School wolf mascot. They have a mascot of a taxidermied wolf that now has giant googly eyes on it. Well, it's senior class. He's pulling a prank, right? So everywhere you go, one of the high school's mascot, a taxidermied wolf in a glass display case, now doesn't look so fierce with giant googly eyes. It's dang near impossible to look at it without laughing, some people are saying. I think the googly eyes on the wolf had been there for a couple of weeks, but nobody really said anything. I've pulled pranks like that here at work, not with googly eyes, though. Although, Miss Mary, you get me some googly eyes, and I'm at it. You know. She's a bad influence on me. So I will take... Well, okay, so this kid, goofy plastic eyes, have those adhesives on the back. You can stick them anywhere. Okay, so now they're all over the school. Including, guys, if you walk up to a urinal, there they are. Let me see. There's a picture here. It's not just the wolf, harmless prank. But there's a picture here of a woman who is celebrated at the school, Maya Angelou, the poet in the library. And there's a picture of the poet Maya Angelou, and she has now googly eyes. So I have to hand it to the kid if you're going to go ahead and pull a senior prank. And my idea of a good prank is something that everybody can laugh at. Although there's always that one guy who doesn't get it. Now, one of the things I was doing, and I blame Miss Mary because she's the one who got me the stickers, knowing full well that I couldn't help myself. One of the stickers it said motion activated. And it happened to perfectly fit, those hand dispensers for during COVID. They had dispensers all over the radio station that you can go ahead and put your hand under and get some of that gel to clean your hands, sanitize because of COVID. So I stuck, it matched perfectly the color of the hand sanitizer. It said motion activated. And I stuck it on there waiting for people to try it to see how long before someone eventually tore it off. And eventually that happened because it's not motion activated. Another one was it looks like it's a plug for, you plug in your lamp or whatever, right? Well, we have at the back door downstairs, we have a box. The pipe comes down that carries all of the wires, and there's a box there. And I guess you can put a light switch or you can put a plug in there or something like that. I don't know. But nothing's there. It's just a flat plate. No one ever hooked it up to anything. So I put a sticker on that makes it look like you can plug into it, like it's a socket thing. And it sat there for like 2 months before someone finally took it off. I wonder how many people walk by thinking that you could plug something in there. See, Mary just sent me a note. Adding googly eyes to cart. Yeah, see? She knows now. I blame Mary for this. She's the bad influence. When she gets me this kind of stuff, she knows I can't help myself. So I will go all over the station sticking googly eyes on God knows what. And then just wait to see how long it is before people notice it. I like to do it in places where it's not noticeable at first. You have to be paying attention. Then eventually someone goes, wait a minute. So I want to meet this high school senior, my kind of guy. Coming up on 6:30, local news, weather forecast, and some serious news after that. Wake Up Wyoming.
Friday.
Live and local, all across Wyoming. Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods on K2 Radio. Join in at 888-97-WOODS or the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app.
All right, the first couple of stories were really funny. This next one's going to irritate you. Sorry about that, but let's get this out of the way. We're going to go to Harvard University. And once again, these institutions are now just designed to corrupt your kids, basically. But they used to be educational institutions. Here's what the story says. You have to cringe when you watch an 86-year-old actress and left-wing activist, and that would be Jane Fonda, discussing with a Harvard activist and professor. Now, notice that, Harvard activist and professor. So if you wonder, and I don't think anyone ever really does, is why do your kids go to these universities and end up getting brainwashed like this? Well, you're a Harvard activist and professor. That's what they're there to do. So that's why these kids end up the mental mess that they are in. But okay. Jane Fonda, of course, really blew it way back when, and I'm surprised she had a successful career in anything after this. But yeah, went to Vietnam during the Vietnam War and went as a protester to the Viet Cong side and had pictures and video of her taken sitting on a gun, big cannon, that was being used to fire at American soldiers. And she was laughing and joking with the Viet Cong and smiling and taking pictures on the gun as it was pointed at U.S. soldiers. So that should have ended any possible future careers that she had in America, but, she survived all of that. Now she's, of course, on the cult of climate change bandwagon, and she's come up with an idea for a protest.
I think that we have to remove the social license of the fossil fuel industry the way we did for tobacco. I mean, you wouldn't brag about dating a guy who ran tobacco companies, would you? And, and the same is true for don't sleep with anybody that's involved. I'm trying to launch a boycott.
That's a new angle. Well, yeah. And we knew that. We know women have done that in the past during the abolition movement, right?
The Greeks, Lisa Strata, right?
Yeah, right, yeah. Exactly. I like that. We'll add that to our list of asks.
Yes, yeah. All right, you add that to the list there. So if there's anybody out there who's in the oil industry, now, right away, somebody would think, well, big oil industry, big oil tycoons and so on. Well, not necessarily. There's a lot of people who are in the oil industry who are not big oil barons. In fact, most of the oil industry, if you live out west, It's mom and pop operations out here. That's what most of the oil industry is. So anyone who is involved in the oil industry, well, you women, you just don't go to bed with them because, by God, not until they get out of the oil industry and get into something else. Maybe if they get into wind and solar, well, then have at it. I mean, I would just go ahead and jump them. Go fine, because they're into wind and solar, but they're into dirty oil or coal or natural gas. Rhiannon Ford Danger, this woman is a moron. Why didn't they leave her ass there? I don't know. I've always wondered, why is it after she got back from Vietnam, Jane Fonda, sitting on a gun for pictures that was pointed at American soldiers? How did she ever have a successful career in anything after that? I know people on the extreme left will think that that's a wonderful thing that she did, but the rest of America didn't, and that she continued to have a successful career. It did help that she married for a while. She was married to Ted Turner, very successful. He invented CNN. Very expensive, successful man. So she did get quite a bit of money after being married to him for a while. And, of course, he's hardcore leftist, too. So I guess maybe she found money and married into it. Maybe that's how she survived after all this time. But here, now, I go back to what you just heard. It was Jane Fonda, all right, and here she is with a radical leftist teacher, professor, and activist at Harvard University. Just remember, if you send your kid to one of these Ivy League schools, that's who's teaching them, people like that. Our Ivy League schools used to be the best in the world. Now, I would suggest you send your kids just about anywhere else.
150 years ago, you didn't have to ask permission from the government to go fishing, own a property, build on your property, renovate your home, use a transportation vehicle, start a business, get married, own a weapon, hunt, cut hair, sell a product, protest, grow your own food, sell that food that you grew on your own property, or even just set up a lemonade stand. And now you virtually can't do anything without asking for the government's permission first. So if you still think you're free, you're deluding yourself.
Polish off that tin hat. You'll need it for this one. Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods. Available on demand on the Wake Up Wyoming app.
6:48 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Off we go to the icebox. Frank Gambino is waiting by. Frank, I figured out what I'm going to get you for your birthday.
A new pair of shoes.
No, but is that what you need?
No, not really.
Okay. So the Wyoming bee guy who went to the game and saved everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can now get a bobblehead of him.
Okay, that's nice.
Yes. Yep.
I'm not interested in a bobblehead.
They also had, and they sold out quickly,
they
made a bunch of baseball trading cards of him.
Well, he's a hero.
Yes, and they sold out fast. So then someone thought, well, let's go ahead and make a bobblehead of this guy. And so the bobblehead is of him standing, of course, the big exaggerated head. And around him, it looks kind of like grass with a bee laying there at the bottom.
Oh, this is the guy from Buffalo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I just want you to picture for a moment, you're sitting at your desk, and you have that bobblehead in front of you of that important moment in baseball history.
Yeah, I can talk to him, ask him questions about, what happened.
Yes, and he just sit there and nod.
Yeah, and then just poke him a little bit and goes, did you get stung? No,
Yes,
and you hit him the other way,
No. See, I have on now you've seen all the stuff I have in front of me.
Yes.
Okay, now one of them, for those people who don't know, one of them is the leg lamp from Christmas Story, and when the lights are on in this studio, the lampshade rocks.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. Another one is there's 3 different shells, and those are from the islands I grew up on, each one, Sanibel, Captiva, North Captiva, right? Okay. Then this one, and I love this one. This is a goat. It's a little plastic goat, and when I push it, you hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That doesn't sound like a goat.
No, a screaming goat.
Oh.
Yeah, okay.
I don't even think that sounds like a screaming goat.
Well, no, it's exactly what it sounds like.
Really?
Believe it or not, you can look that up on the internet. Look up screaming goat. There's a YouTube video. Also, there's a communicator from Star Trek, which actually has a noise device. And
I like that one.
See, okay, that's kind of cool. Now, if you notice the Batman, you can pull the Batman in half because it actually is a USB drive, thumb drive.
Okay.
Shaped like Batman. This is a serious talk radio program that affects the entire state, Frank.
In what way?
I interview your governor and your senators, and we talk about important issues. And this is the kind of crap I keep on my desk.
It's okay. Levity is fine, whatever turns you on. The boys' all-state high school soccer team was announced yesterday, and there were 6 members from the Kelly Walsh team that made all-state. That's an incredible amount. Parker O'Neill from KW, a 3-time all-state selection. Britton Butler, a 2-time all-state selection. Cameron Jimenez, also a 2-timer. Bo Barkley, also a 2-timer. Ethan Leslie and Caden Boyce named all-state for the first time for the Trojans. Cheyenne Central had 5 players make all-state. Logan Custis for the second time. Sammy Shumway for the second time. Nate Benchley for the second time. Sam Smith and Leo Somerset for the first time. Carson Bush from Laramie made all-state, as well as Brendan Bowman from Cheyenne East. The high school softball season did come to an end over the weekend in Gillette, with Thunder Basin beating Cheyenne East 10-0 in the championship game. That was 3 straight state titles for Thunder Basin. In the final standings for girls high school softball, Cheyenne East won 24-7. Natrona 15-8-2. Laramie went 11-17. Cheyenne Central 11-14. Kelly Walsh 6-15-1, and Cheyenne South went 0-17. At the state high school track meet over the weekend in Casper, there were several athletes that won 3 events on the ladies' side. And 1A, Addison Barnes, she actually won 4. She won the 200, the 100 hurdles, the 300 hurdles, and the high jump. Lainey Walker from Kemmerer in 2A won the 100 hurdles, the 300 hurdles, and the pole vault. Also in 2A, Melody Zumbrunnen of Lusk, the 100 and the 200. She also won the long jump. In 3A, Julie Antonino from Mountain View won the triple jump, the high jump, and the 100 hurdles. Brooklyn Asmus from Torrington won the 100, 200, and 400. And Talia Morris from Cheyenne East won the 100 meters, the 200 meters, and the long jump. In Major League Baseball, the Colorado Rockies lost to Oakland last night 5-4. So that win for the A's broke an 8-game winning streak. Ezekiel Tovar hit 2 home runs for the Rockies in that game. The announced attendance in Oakland was 4,005. 4,005. Remember now, they're leaving for Las Vegas in a couple of years. So the Rockies are 15-32, and those 2 teams will play again tonight in an empty stadium in Oakland.
Well, how bad was that game?
Well, when 4,005 people show up,
yeah,
that says it all.
Yeah. Okay, but I mean, it
was a competitive game.
It was competitive.
There were 2 bad teams playing a decent game.
Yes,
but Oakland, when they announced they were leaving for Vegas, and they have to play 2 years in Sacramento to get their stadium built, everyone just abandoned them. And they were actually abandoned the year before that, and the year before that.
Here's my thought. When someone up in the stands yells, "You suck,"
everyone can hear them.
Yes, the team,
everyone does. Yes.
Both teams down below are wondering which one you're talking about. You have to be specific in this case, Frank.
So you just say a number like 1, 2...
Right. Yeah, all together. All right. All right. Thank you, Frank. Coming up on some local business we got to take care of. We're going to roll into news time after that. National local update on the weather forecast. Wake Up Wyoming.
Front.
.06 the time. Wednesday. Finally getting some clear skies out there. Temperature's a lot lower. Dawn day will be on at 7:45 to give you an extended forecast, including what he does know about your Memorial Day weekend, even though there's still a few question marks there.
Today's show is sponsored by Sweet and Spicy Toilet Paper. Because life is, you need... I mean, life needs...
Don't even...
Okay, I don't know why you would need this.
No, you don't. But it would make a great gag gift, though. All right. Let me get away from all sorts of regular news topics for a minute to talk to you about something that I have been doing since I was 13 years old. Now, I've told you this story before, but I'm going to add to it now. Back when I was 13, I'm watching television news, because back then, we would sit down in front of the TV from 6 to 7 o'clock and watch a half hour of local news and a half hour of national news. And everybody in America did that. It was news time, 6 o'clock. So this is what everybody did. Not so much anymore with the 24-hour news cycle. That's not a thing as much as it used to be, but all right. And the weatherman in my area every Friday would open up a letter, because the internet was not around then, and he would answer a weather question. Some of you remember this story. The question was, what actually causes heat lightning? And his answer was, there is no such thing as heat lightning. There is a storm out there. It's over the horizon, beyond where you can see it. You're watching a reflection of light in the atmosphere. Now, he's right about that. That meteorologist was right, but that got me on a lifelong quest. I'm still doing it to this day. How many things have we been told as human beings that most people believe, if not everybody believes? The vast majority of people believe it, and yet it's not true. And if you're the person who stands up and says, hang on, that's not true, you know what's going to happen to you, right? Okay. That's why the first guy to figure out that the sun is the center of the solar system, not Earth, and we are just one of several planets revolving around the sun. At the time, everybody thought that Earth was the center of everything. The first guy to figure that out, quite literally, they tied him to a stake and burned him alive. The second guy to figure it out, they put him under house arrest for the rest of his life, and he had to recant, or they would burn him at the stake. So you see the kinds of problems we have. We're still doing it to this day with humanity, that everybody believes something, therefore. And one of the things I love doing on this program is it's one of added to the list of reasons I wanted to get into talk radio is I love looking up stuff like this and saying, hang on, are you sure that's true? Will everybody think so? So what if everybody thinks so? Is it true? And what doesn't help is your news media. So let's take a look at something. First off, I was having fun with Frank in the last segment of the show. Headline, Wyoming native bee guy, hero of the Major League Baseball game, gets his own bobblehead. And that's the guy who was in Phoenix. He lives there now. I think he's from Buffalo, Wyoming originally, but he's in Phoenix, and he is an expert in many things, including bees. And when a swarm of bees attached itself to the net behind where the pitcher is and the catcher, that net that goes up there, and that's where the bees had decided to swarm, and there was a big pile of them up there hanging on to that net. And so he had to show up and kill him. And then, everybody applauds him and he takes a bow. You can actually get a trading card, baseball trading card, with his picture on it. And now they're going to come out with a bobblehead. That's just hysterical. That got me thinking about something about bees that you've been told that's not true. And as I was thinking about this, here comes one of my all-time favorite broadcast heroes, John Stossel, who loves doing the same thing I do. He debunks myths like this. So just recently on his YouTube page, now I've edited this down for time because it goes on for quite a bit. I just took the meat of it out, make this about 2 minutes long, as John Stossel talks about the myth of the great bee die-off.
Have you heard about that other environmental crisis? Honeybees are dying.
Something is killing America's bee population.
For years, the media have talked about
bee-pocalypse, bees dying off, disappearing.
All the news shows cover the disaster.
This might be one of the most interesting, disturbing, and puzzling stories to come along in a long time.
Famous actors are sold to the bee-pocalypse.
30% of the honeybees disappearing.
That could have a devastating impact on agriculture.
But wait, grocery stores still offer lots of food. Baseball games are stopped until a beekeeper removes bees. Now, about 20 years ago, some American bees did die.
It's called colony collapse disorder.
Beekeepers would come back to their hives and they'd be gone. All the bees would be gone.
For several years, beekeepers lost lots of bees. But beekeepers adjusted. They rebuilt the lost colonies by splitting hives. Since then, there are 31% more bees in America. They could have just Googled bee population and they would have seen them going up.
Absolutely. It's farcical.
Science writer John Entine runs the Genetic Literacy Project. It challenges scientific misinformation in the media.
We're not in any way facing an apocalypse involving bees. Things have never been better in terms of the numbers of bees globally.
The numbers go up, but their dying stories continued.
Bees are disappearing worldwide.
All you have to do is read the basic science on these issues, whether it's on the genetic literacy.
Nobody reads that.
They don't read that.
Look, more people are going to watch the video that says you might starve.
Do you like to eat? The disappearance of honeybees could have a drastic effect on our nation's food supply,
which could lead to millions of people starving in the following years.
The media are so irresponsible. Time predicted a world without bees, even though this beekeeper who gave the magazine this bee for their photo shoot would have told them.
The bees will outlast you. They've been around since the Cretaceous period.
I don't remember seeing Time apologize for its cover.
And they won't. Now, that story goes on for quite a bit, but you get the idea, which is why I stopped it there. Now, this is one of many things that over the years I've looked at and thought, really? You keep getting told this. And recent stories have popped up in the news media about the big bee apocalypse, but there's more bees than ever before. Now, it's hard to determine how many bees are out there in the wild, but there's estimates for that, and they're doing fine. But as you heard in the story, yeah, we did have a bit of a problem about 20 years ago. But those people who have beehives know what to do about it. Every so often, new queens are born, and they would just pull those queens out and some bees with them and make another hive, and they would populate, and they just increase the number of hives. And we did just fine. Okay. So there's no bee crisis. We have more bees than ever before. There's not a bee crisis. Now, how many other things are you being told out there? This is why I've given you stories like, remember that 9-year-old a couple of years ago who did his own study for class where he said the teacher had everybody in class do a study on something. And he said, Americans use 500 million straws a day and most of them wind up in the ocean, which prompted, because there's media hype about it, prompted some cities around America to try to ban plastic drinking straws. And the truth of the matter is we do use a lot of straws in America, but we do not use anywhere near 500 million straws a day, and most of them never get anywhere near the ocean. The kid was completely wrong, but that's not what the news media said. And when somebody did a study to show that the kid was wrong, how many news media outlets picked it up? Yeah, that's why I pick on the cult of climate change so much. How often? Because the media is going to give you climate change horror stories. But, you know, it doesn't get them any traction. And I think part of it is our fault. If they post a story about a bee apocalypse or a climate change story, or we are killing wildlife in the sea because we use 500 million straws a day and most of them are winding up in the ocean, stories like this get a lot of attention and a lot of clicks. But if somebody were to do a story that tells you that the bee population is just fine, in fact, there's more bees than ever before, that while we do have our occasional, like there was a tornado last night that devastated the town, but actually we're not having more tornadoes than ever before. We're having about the same number. Nothing unusual is happening with the weather. That's not going to get a whole lot of attention, is it? And so that's not the story they go with. But what also gets me is how many times I've seen reporters and other people in general just lazy. They don't research anything. They just go with what they heard. If they do research something, they Google it and call it good, which, by the way, that's not what research is. Just typing something on Google and hitting enter and looking at the results you get, reading a few headlines, is not what research looks like. But it's not just the news media that does this. It's your politicians, and it's the public in general. Which is why we believe so many things that just ain't so.
Woke Radio, WOKE, where we're 100% solar powered, giving you sustainable programming and weather says calm. No power. The sun's shining, right? Maybe we can get Mom's treadmill hooked up to the grid.
Covering world-ending catastrophes for years to come. It's Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods. Find content, chat live, and listen on demand on the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app.
7:22 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. So if you just joined me, I played a John Stossel bit, one of my all-time favorite broadcast heroes, that shows you've been told for many years that the bee population worldwide is crashing. And we soon won't have any bees. If we don't have bees, we're not going to have food. We're all going to starve and die. And the answer is the bee population is healthier than it's ever been. And we have more bees than ever before. And a lot of it is because of what human beings do interacting with bees. There's a very good report showing that your news media doesn't even try. Now, here's another one for you. Again, I'm going to go to a John Stossel story. Fake fact-checking is what he calls this. He writes, recently I released a video called California's Fires Government Fueled. A few days later, Facebook insisted, I'm putting a warning on his video. Missing context. Independent fact-checkers say information could mislead. So some of his viewers, John Stossel's viewers, wrote, shameful, John, what happened to you? Your reporting was always fair. Facebook has tagged you. So apparently, for some people, a Facebook fact check carries weight. For me, none whatsoever. Whenever I see Facebook blur something out and they tell me misinformation or something like that, misleading, whatever it is, I click on it and read it. It encourages me to read it. And in most cases, it's Facebook that got it wrong. John Stossel writes, worse, Facebook says that because my video is labeled as misleading, it will show my content to fewer people, a lot fewer. He says, this kills me. My news model counts on social media companies. That's how people see his videos. So he confronted the fact checkers. Now, of course, there's actually not a person there. When Facebook is fact checking something, it's an algorithm. There's not exactly a person there fact-checking on anything. It's just an algorithm, right? But he went and found a person, which is very difficult to do. Facebook fact-check links to my page from a group called Climate Feedback that claims it sorts fact from fiction about climate change. He writes, they posted this complaint about my video. Forest fires are caused by poor management, not climate change. And they call that misleading. Is it misleading? He said, but I never said that in my video. I acknowledge that climate change has made things worse, says John Stossel. California has warmed 3 degrees in 50 years. I don't know where Climate Feedback got the quote made up somewhere else. In other words, they're accusing Stossel of saying something when actually he said the opposite of that. Stossel writes, Facebook lets activists restrict my videos, he says, based on something I never said. So now, Facebook is a private company. They can censor anything they want, says Stossel. I understand the pressure they feel. All kinds of people demand that Facebook ban posts they don't like. There's no way Facebook can police everything. They carry billions of posts every day. That's a minimum. See, I wish they'd just let the information flow. People will gradually learn to sort through. But to please politicians, Facebook's now lets other people censor their content. Mark Zuckerberg told Congress, we work with a set of independent fact-checkers. That's how Climate Feedback got its power. They were made fact-checkers. Now, they're not the only one. When it came to things like COVID, there were people who were made fact-checkers for COVID who were just the worst possible people to put in charge. But rather than getting into that, Facebook said, I can appeal its throttling of my videos, but the appeal must go through Climate Feedback, possibly the very activists who made up quotes about me. They made up quotes saying John Stossel said this when he never said any such thing. He said, I tried to appeal. He talked to Nikki Forrester, Climate Feedback editor. She didn't respond. 2 of the 3 scientists listed as reviewers agreed to an interview. So he interviewed them. He asked why they smeared me based on something I never said. That was a shock. They had never seen my video. I referred them to Climate Feedback, a webpage that Facebook cited labeling my video misleading. That page lists, and he pointed to one of the guys in the room, that page lists you as a reviewer. I've never seen the video. So a lot of what you see on Facebook as fact-checking, there's nobody actually there. Other reviewers claim that climate scientists from different institutes are reviewing, and they're not. So he sent, John Stossel sent his video to several people who are actually climate scientists, who took a look at it and sent it back and said, no, John, you actually did a very fair and balanced video regarding wildfires a few years ago in California and what actually caused them. So the scientists on the topic, actual climatologists and climate scientists and people who work in the forestry division in California and so on, agreed that John Stossel's video was actually very fair and balanced, they thought. The fact checkers from Facebook had never actually checked anything. In fact, the person that was listed as the fact checker of John Stossel's video admitted to John Stossel that he had never seen the video. It was the algorithm that did it. And especially when we're in an election year right now, this is who's fact-checking for us. Okay. If you're thinking artificial intelligence, yes, but artificial intelligence that's been programmed toward bias by human beings. So no matter what you put in there, it's going to get the same result out because that's what they want to get out of it. Coming up on 7:30, local news coming your way after local news update on your weather forecast. You and I get back into it. Oh, it's 7:45. Don Day's on with me. Pretty much a nice day today. Overall, pretty nice today. A bit of a roller coaster between now all the way through Monday, which is why we have a long weekend going here. Let's wake up, Wyoming.
Friday. The only show broadcasting from a bunker under Devil's Tower. Hey, it's cold down here. Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods, 6 a.m. weekdays on AM 1030 and FM 95.1.
So, Don Day's coming on 7:45 because quite a bit of changes. Sun's out. Quite a few changes in our weather forecast over the next few days. So 7:45, he and I will have a conversation about that. And your long weekend. Most people, we get a long weekend. I say most people because, and I've said this before, oftentimes when we get up to a 3-day weekend, friends of mine who are bankers and bureaucrats, yeah, everybody gets 3 days off. No. It's mostly for bankers and bureaucrats. Now, Memorial Day, a lot more people do, but there's a lot of people that still work Monday. Not everybody has it off. Not everybody has this whole weekend off. So I still want a holiday where everybody gets 3 days off, except bankers and bureaucrats. They still have to show up for work. All right. Story here, Chinese mine company. Remember the Chinese mine company that was doing cryptocurrency here in Wyoming? And they were asked to clear out because they were a little too close to F.E. Warren Air Force Base. All right, Cowboy State Daily Story. Several large semi-trailers were idling outside what has become a high-profile Bitcoin mining facility in Cheyenne on Tuesday. About a dozen large shipping containers scattered throughout, so they got to go. Last week, President Biden issued an executive order requiring Chinese-owned cryptocurrency mining a mile away from F.E. Warren Air Force Base to shut down and sell out. Too close to F.E. Warren. The order directs offshore cryptocurrency companies Mine One Partners Limited, as well as other related mining entities, to immediately cease operation and remove all that equipment. Okay, so they are working on that. And what gets me, when I look at the facility, I look at it and think, So that's what cryptocurrency mining looks like, right? Yeah, to me, I can get into with, again, how they do this. How do they make cryptocurrency? Because it's just virtual money. And to me, the whole idea of it's completely convoluted, but okay. Now, our Secretary of State, Chuck Gray, strips North Korea of business in Wyoming, their licenses, after being flagged by the FBI. 3 businesses with suspected ties to North Korea have been stripped of their licensings and operations as a registered business in Wyoming. That's a result of the Wyoming Secretary of State's office dissolving the limited liability corporation of the business after being informed by the FBI they are connected with North Korea. Based on information provided by the FBI, it's believed that CultureBox LLC and NextNets LLC and Backlash Tech provided fraudulent information to the Secretary of State's office when they registered in Wyoming. CultureBox had already been administratively dissolved by the office in December for failing to pay its state dues. So, quote, the communist authoritarian Kim Jong-un regime has no place in Wyoming, said Chuck Gray. All right, Kim Jong-un, by the way. There's been 3 Kims now. In the Korean language, the Asian language, basically, the surname, or what we would call the last name, comes first. So this is Kim Jong-un in this case. So his name is Jong-un, and then Kim is his last name in our language, first name in theirs. According to the FBI affidavit, unknown and known foreign people transferred money from the unknown international location somewhere in the United States to register the business with the intent of making money for North Korea in violation of U.S. sanctions on the country. I'll remind you, when we take a look at North Korea, there's only one fat man in the entire country. That should tell you all you need to know about socialism. In December 2023, the FBI interviewed a person who was an assistant for the North Korean company, already seized by the FBI. Same day, this person received a laptop in the mail, which the FBI instructed to hand over to the agency. 3 days later, a person who claimed to work for Backlash Tech said they were instructed to pick up the laptop. Something weird. I would say something rotten in Denmark, but we're talking North Korea here. So, story says Wyoming has some of the most private LLC regulations. By the way, Wyoming invented the LLC. It allows people to easily cloak identities. And what that means is if you opened up a company with a bunch of partners, nobody has to know who those partners are. It's your business. And if you want privacy, you can have privacy. And in many ways, that's a good thing. It keeps even our own government from snooping around, and other people too. But sometimes we have to keep an eye on it when we find out that the company's actually owned and run by Chinese or North Koreans. Coming up on 742, I'll get Don Day on, and we'll talk about not just the next couple of days in weather, but what might happen over your 3-day weekends. Wake Up Wyoming.
And we're back. Sorry, we were busy tricking pescatarians into eating Rocky Mountain oysters. Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods.
7:45 is the time. Wake Up Wyoming. Off we go to talk to Don Day from Day Weather. Don, I had a little bit of frost on my windshield this morning when I got to my car.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, okay. And that's the weather with Don. So, no, it was a bit on the cool side because it was a little wet last night, too, with some showers passing over and so on. That could just kind of froze everything. So it's nice other than that. I mean, the sun's out.
Yeah, sun's out. It's going to be an in-between day. The front that came through yesterday that made such a chilly night is followed by a little sliver of high pressure. But there's another front already in the Washington, Oregon area that's headed south and east. It's going to be raining and snowing in western Wyoming by late this afternoon and evening. So this front will come in tonight and tomorrow. It's going to make tomorrow a windy, cooler day. There's going to be another period. It's a pattern that just keeps repeating, Glenn. It's going to be most wet up north, where rain and thunder and mountain snow will be very common in the northern and western counties of the state. And then as you go further south, the showers are more spotty and scattered. We're going to have a lot of wind tomorrow, I'm afraid, as the front goes by. Then Friday's an in-between day, a little sliver of high pressure. Then Saturday, we have another little front coming on in. So the pattern is the same. We get a front, we get a break, we get a front, we get a break. This is going to continue through at least Sunday.
Okay, now there's the thing. So as we go through, and I know Sunday has still a question mark on it, but we go through Sunday and Monday. Well, I don't think, from what I'm understanding by listening to you, not everything is settled in the forecast, but we can probably just expect that pendulum back and forth.
Yeah, this is a weekend you need to be prepared for every element if you're going to be spending time camping, boating, going outdoors, and a lot of folks will be. It's really hard this time of year to get 3 days in a row where the weather's good, as evidenced by what we're experiencing right now. Right now, I would say that probably the best day is going to be Memorial Day Monday, the day you pack up and go home.
Yeah.
And then towards the middle of next week, I see a large area high pressure and some real warm air building in and getting us into a nice pattern. But it's going to be back and forth. And we can talk in more detail tomorrow and Friday as we get closer. But a lot of it's going to depend on where you're going to be in Wyoming. Because I think the weather is going to be different based on where you are for the 3-day weekend. And that's something we'll just have to dissect.
Here's something very unusual, but it's just because of all the wet we've been getting. So I mowed my lawn Sunday, and I'll have to do it again today.
Yeah, some parts of central and northern Wyoming, if you're either grass or a weed, you've been loving the weather.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Don. Don Day with Day Weather. So we'll get a little more detail as we get into, let's say, Friday as to what Sunday will do. Monday's looking probably pretty good. So far, so good anyway. Off we go to the icebox. Frank Gambino is waiting by. Did you have plans this weekend, Frank?
Yeah, they say, come to Wyoming. The weather's great, said nobody.
I said nobody ever. No. Come to Wyoming. As far as weather, your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
You might have a good time.
Yeah.
You might have the adventure of your life.
Well, in fact, for those who don't know, Memorial Day weekend is the official kickoff of the Yellowstone Bison Cornhole Tournament.
Say that again now?
The Yellowstone Bison Cornhole Tournament.
I've had it with cornhole.
No.
Before you start with the bison with cornhole, I had the unpleasant experience again of watching it on TV. These people have bowling shirts on now.
Oh my God!
And they're wearing headphones.
Yes.
And they don't show how many people are actually watching, but it makes it look full. I'm like,
yes,
really?
No, it's not.
Cornhole.
Yeah. Okay, well,
on television.
If we're going to do this,
I would watch the buffalo.
Yes. Okay. Now, if we're going to do this, let's take a look at it for a minute. I never understood bowling tournaments, and yet they have television. It's still on today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Bowling tournaments, and when it comes to what's that one for the Olympics?
Curling.
Curling. Yeah. I have no clue why that made the Olympics.
It is.
Yet it's got a huge following there.
But cornhole,
oh my God!
I can't take it.
No, this one is where the bison. Here's how they play the game. The first thing they do is they sucker the tourists in by looking cute, and come on, go ahead, pet me, and get a picture taken. And then their job is to launch the tourist as high as they can toward an established hole somewhere off in the distance, and to see who makes the hole. So the official competition for Yellowstone bison in their human cornhole competition starts Memorial Day weekend.
So prior to that, it was like spring training.
It was, yes, exactly right. There's the warm-ups and so on, and then we'll see what happens here during the course of the
Got to get in shape. I mean, it's a long winter, and that kind of thing. And
right. Now, for those people who don't understand what Frank was talking about, you can actually go online, go to YouTube, and just type in cornhole tournament. And you will see there's guys out there in what looks like bowling shirts. And boy, the cornhole whole thing is done up with, they've got sponsors and all of that.
Oh.
In fact, even the bean bags they toss have sponsors on them. Yeah, I mean, really, this is the sponsors on their shirts and so on. This turns out to be, now I was about to say turns out to be a big deal. I don't think it is. I'm with you.
No, when the guy had headphones on.
Oh my God.
That's enough. That is absolutely enough. The boys' high school all-state soccer team was announced yesterday. Kelly Walsh had a remarkable 6 players make all-state. Parker O'Neill made it for the 3rd time. Britton Butler and Cameron Jimenez plus Bo Barkley made it for the second time. Ethan Leslie and Caden Boyce made the All-State list for the first time. Cheyenne Central had 5 players make All-State. Nate Brenchley, Sammy Shumway, and Logan Custis are All-State for the second time, and Leo Somerset and Sam Smith made it for the first time. Carson Bush of Laramie and Brendan Bowman of Cheyenne East also made All-State this year in boys high school soccer. The girls high school softball season did end over the weekend in Gillette with Thunder Basin three-peating as the state champion. They beat Cheyenne East in that title game 10-0. In the final standings for the area team, Cheyenne East finished at 24-7. Natrona was 15-8-2. Laramie 11-17. Cheyenne Central 11-14. Kelly Walsh was 6-15-1, and Cheyenne South 0-17. At the state high school track meet over the weekend, there were several girls that won 3 events, and Addison Barnes of Cokeville, she won 4 events. In 1A, she won the 200, the 100 hurdles, the 300 hurdles, and the high jump. In 2A, Lainey Walker of Kemmerer won both of the hurdle races plus the pole vault. Melody Zumbrunnan of Lusk won the 100, the 200, and the long jump, also in 2A. In 3A, Jaylee Antonino from Mountain View won the triple jump, the high jump, and the 100 hurdles. Brooklyn Asmus from Torrington won the 100, 200, and the 400. That's really tough to do. And Talia Morris of Cheyenne East had a terrific meet, too. She won the 100-meter dash in 4A plus the 200 and the long jump. In Major League Baseball, the Colorado Rockies lost to the Oakland A's last night on the road 5-4 in front of a grand total of 4,005 fans. So that broke an 8-game losing streak for the A's. And for the Rockies, Ezequiel Tovar hit 2 home runs. The Rockies are 15-32, and they will play the A's again tonight in the Bay Area.
You know, the good thing about, I just realized this as you were saying it, being at the bottom like that, is when you have a humiliating loss to a team that's supposed to be worse than you, there really wasn't anybody watching.
No, there was no.
Yeah.
There's nothing going on in Oakland with baseball.
Yeah. Because isn't it really embarrassing when a team that is top of their game loses to the worst team ever?
Well, yeah.
And everybody's watching.
Yeah, and then you're like, how did you do that?
We felt, here's the excuse, we felt sorry for them, so we let them win this one.
Yeah. No, it's called choke.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, friend. Coming up on some local business we got to take care of. And then news time, national local update on the weather forecast. We roll into open phones after that, so it doesn't matter what I'm talking about. You can change the subject if you want. 888-97-WOODS, the phone number. That's 888-97-WOODS. Wake Up, Wyoming. The time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. It's a Wednesday. Over the hump we go toward a long weekend for most people.
Today's show is sponsored by Sweet and Spicy Toilet Paper.
No.
Because life is, well, you need, life needs, okay, I don't know why you would need this.
A gag gift is the only thing I can think of. Hey, real quick, last hour I was telling Frank Gambino, Memorial Day weekend begins the official cornhole contest for buffalo bison at Yellowstone National Park. This is where they pretend the bison pretend to be cute and cuddly and encourage tourists to get close for pictures and hugs and so on. And then they bunt them as far as they can into a predetermined hole. So it's the bison human cornhole contest. Well, Redbeard is up in Guernsey. He writes, Glenn, next month in Yellowstone Park, they're having a Hug the Fuzzy Grizzly Bear Cub Week. Yes, get your picture taken with a cute and cuddly cub and enter the photo contest. Yes, you might be the winner and might be able to get a grand prize of a helicopter ride to the Idaho Medical Center for a 2-week stay in a great room with all kinds of highly skilled people waiting on you, hand and foot. See now? That's why you vacation in Wyoming.
Warning. Wake Up Wyoming is about to enter daily open phones. This means that anyone will be allowed to call in and talk about anything. I mean, imagine if we actually allowed you on air to say anything you wanted. Scary, right? Well, we're just that brand of crazy. If you are offended by what other people think, then maybe you want to tune out right about now. Just saying. If you should choose to call, just remember, the more funny and interesting you are, the longer Glenn will keep you on the line. Obnoxious jerks will be hung up on. Dave. All right, strap in and let's do this thing.
888-97 Woods, the phone number. That's 888-97-WOODS. You can talk about what I'm talking about, change the subject, fine. I'll just kind of roll with it. So last hour I was telling you that there was a Chinese cryptocurrency producer that was in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and they have their computer data center set up a mile away from F.E. Warren Air Force Base, which, of course, is where we have our, well, that's where basically they're in charge of the nukes. So we don't want them there, so they had to leave. Then there was a North Korean outfit that had an LLC in Cheyenne. Secretary of State shut that down. So here's a headline. Again, it's a Cowboy State Daily story. Crypto data centers push for EVs, electric vehicles, will explode the need for electricity, says Senator Barrasso. Now, the senator is stating the obvious here, but it needs to be stated because there's people out there who don't understand the obvious. Story says the entire nation is experiencing unprecedented growth in demand for electricity, with Wyoming displaying some challenges of its own, evidenced by the construction of a mammoth-sized data center encircling the capital city, where big data centers are being built. The good news is we can crunch more data than ever before in a smaller space. Now, the other side of that, especially with the advancement of artificial intelligence, man, are we going to need a lot of data centers. And that's going to take a lot of electricity. And you're not going to do that with wind and solar. It isn't happening. I don't care how much you put up. The story says the data centers are huge electricity hogs, as highlighted at the U.S. Senate committee hearing in Washington, D.C. Tuesday, that's yesterday, with concerns about the reliability, and even if we have an electricity supply. Quote, in 5 years from now, the amount of energy that the country is going to need equal to adding a whole new California, said Senator Barrasso in an interview with Cowboy State Daily. And he's absolutely right about that. We're going to need more power than ever before. And what we're doing instead of getting ready for more power is we're tearing it down in favor of something that's not good for the environment and not reliable and far more expensive. That'd be wind and solar. Micah is on the phone. Morning, Micah.
And so is Sherry.
Yeah, hi.
Morning. We just wanted to let you know that we just left Yellowstone, and yes, those buffalo are out there practicing for the big game.
I hope you got to see someone get punted.
You know, we heard some stories, well, just last night. The people here in Thermopolis at the same RV place,
right?
They were telling us that some tourists were seeing like a baby bear. Oh, how cute. Oh, how cute. And they go out there and do not, they saw mama bear. So they go up, literally got as close as to like maybe 15 or 20 feet away.
Oh, God.
Also thinking, I mean, that's bad enough, but she's mama bear with the cubs near her. I mean, they're lucky they're not on the front pages on the newspapers.
Now, here's where you have a bit of a dilemma, you two ladies. You want to do one of two things. Either try to warn them and rescue them, or grab your phones, because this is going to get a lot of hits for you on social media. It's a tough call.
Well, you know, now that I've spent this much time with Sherry under the same roof in the same camper,
yeah,
I would imagine that Sherry would be encouraging them just to get a little bit closer.
Sure, yeah, and then you start taking bets.
Right?
Yeah.
But we did see Old Faithful kick off.
Okay, good. I have seen some videos of people while you were out there this past few days. Some people did get off the boardwalk and walk right up to Old Faithful.
No way.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Oh, my God. Well, maybe they came back with a little sunburn.
I would, yeah. Very
Windburn?
possible. Yeah, okay. So are you two back now?
We are leaving Thermopolis. Should we stop by Chugwater and have a
Well, of course.
shake?
Stop by, have yourself, I like the chocolate malts they have there. Make sure you swing on over across the street to the Tri-County Mercantile and say hi to them, too. I mean, it's always worth it.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
And, I really think that you should move there because it doesn't sound like anybody has stepped up yet to become the new mayor.
Actually, I think Josh, the guy who is one of the owners of the Tri-County Mercantile, is thinking about it.
Shush. He told us that, and he told us to keep it quiet, and now you have just...
Well, I don't know. I just know that he's thinking about it. That doesn't mean he's doing it.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay. There's that distinction.
Yeah.
So I guess we can talk
It would be a
about it.
huge improvement. I hope he does. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, you have a good day.
All right. Drive safely, ladies. Here's the thing when it comes to in the, what I would do. If at some point, I got to go to Yellowstone. I've been all over Wyoming. I haven't been to Yellowstone yet. And I'm not going on a long weekend like this one. I want to go when it's out of tourist season, but I'll go. And I wonder, do I want to sit there and watch like Old Faithful and watch the bison, things like that? Or maybe instead, I'll just sit there and watch the tourists. And then I'll start taking bets. Which one looks stupid enough to get themselves put in the hospital? It's a thought. I mean, you can go there to watch nature, or you can go there and watch the tourists. Whatever you think is going to be more entertaining.
Over the last few days, there's been large protests over the protection of the local woodland. Today, we're joined by one of the hippie freaks responsible. Larry, have you ever thought about getting a job? No, jobs are for people who work. I understand your organisation is trying to protect natural resources, but my question is, would it really kill you to take a shower? You see, showers take water away from nature, so we try to avoid it. All right, sounds very similar to how the rest of the population tries to avoid you. Oh, yeah, right on. So is there anything you'd like to say to the general public? Fight war with love. Yeah, because as we all know, love is an AK-47's one weakness. Also, you have to remember, trees are people too. It's really strange. I've just got the sudden urge to punch you really hard in the face. Oh no, heavy.
Yep, there you have it. A new level of crazy. And you heard it here first. He's not a politician, but his pants are on fire. Could someone grab an extinguisher? Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods.
Hey, 20 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Let's go to Laramie where Mike's waiting by. Morning, Mike.
Good morning, Glenn. Got an aviation and climate change related topic for you. The incident with Singapore Airlines and the turbulence.
Yeah.
It was less than 36 hours before PBS had a self-appointed expert solemnly telling us that it was climate change that caused the turbulence.
Yes, absolutely. Because, turbulence like that has never happened before, Not until we started putting CO2 into the atmosphere. That's when it started happening.
Yeah, and he also said that we can expect more of it in the future.
Yeah. That's something that was actually predicted a few years ago by the cult of climate change. As of course, everything is going to be worse. So it's been a long time since we've had an incident like this. But in fact, the tornado that just ripped apart a town in the Midwest, what that's going to be blamed on?
Oh, climate change.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, I saw some video of that yesterday, and that tornado did do one good thing.
Yeah.
It took out a whole bunch of wind turbines.
Oh, wow. Nice. So hold on now. Mother Nature hates wind turbines and wants to get rid of them.
Yeah, and they showed pictures of these collapsed turbines, and when those thingamabobs at the top of the blades are attached, when they hit the ground, they all caught fire.
Oh, wow. Now, see, what gets me about this is a few years back, there was some guy, one of the major Ivy League universities up there in the New England states, had done a really lame computer model where he claimed that if we put up enough wind turbines offshore, then hurricanes will be greatly reduced in power because the wind turbines will help break them up on the way in. And you and I both know that all that's going to happen is the hurricane is going to rip apart the wind turbine.
Yeah, that's... Well, I could see. I mean, with the turbulence, I spent 12 years flying for the Air Force and got a few thousand hours, and never once did I encounter turbulence.
Okay, never happened to you. Never a single bump. No. Okay, yeah.
Never a single. No, the worst that ever happened to me was a lightning strike.
Oh, okay. How high were you flying?
We were like 25,000 feet at the time.
Okay, but there's no turbulence. Yeah.
No, we were coming back from the bombing range, and we were passing through some clouds, and I was looking for thunderstorms in there, but just literally bolt out of the blue, hit my left wing.
Wow, okay. But no turbulence whatsoever. I'm having a hard time believing you, Mike.
I'll swear on a stack of Bibles.
I have had in the little Cessna coming into, and I've had this happen many times, I know you have too, coming into a runway, getting really close to that runway, and there's always that little bit of a bump just before the runway.
Yeah.
Now, we both know that is a thermal that's not just lifting up off of the hot runway, but getting blown toward us. I've always claimed that it's actually the airport putting in a speed bump to slow us down on the way in.
I think with the F4s, we were going fast enough that those little thermal didn't bother us.
No, and especially not at that altitude. They're usually not making it that high. No,
and most of my flying with the F4 was at low levels, so we weren't really up to the altitudes where you're going to get turbulence.
Right. Yeah.
I never had a turbulence.
I have had
lightning strike.
When I left last time I flew down to Florida, left Denver, and there was a lot of wind coming over the Rocky Mountains. So we are way out from Denver in like a whole nother state, like Kansas. And the pilot comes on and warns us we're probably going to hit some light turbulence because of the Rocky Mountains. So you can see how it can disrupt the atmosphere that far away. And at that point, we're at like 35,000 feet. And I got a little bit, nothing bad, but it got a little bumpy up there. But, that's climate change, Mike, so.
That's fine. I know. We can expect more of it.
Yeah, we can. Yeah. All right. Thanks for calling. Yeah, see, the weather was perfect. Absolutely perfect. Until we started pumping CO2 into the air, then all these bad things started happening. None of this ever happened before, right? Sure. Okay. Trump fans. Now, if you missed it, you can go ahead and check it out. It is on the Wake Up Wyoming podcast. This program becomes a podcast. Yesterday, at about this time, I think it was, a lady called the program from Nebraska, and she honestly, truly believes that Donald Trump is Jesus. And if you think, well, no, she was just pulling your leg. No, I went to her YouTube page and listened to a lot of things that she's had to say and so on. She honestly believes that Donald Trump is Jesus. And he speaks to her. This is a lady from Nebraska that called the program yesterday. I have the audio of the entire call. It's also a post on the Wake Up Wyoming website if you would like to read the post and also listen to that caller. So for you Trump fans out there, I got something else for you. But first off, all on your feet, hands off. I meant to say hats off, but you get the idea. So, okay, here's the latest. A director wants to make a movie about Donald Trump. Now, of course, this movie would be to trash Donald Trump. A director wants a Trump movie, the Apprentice style, called The Apprentice, with a fake rape scene. And he wants it released just before the second debate, which means he's got to slam this sucker together real fast. This is a director, let me see, he said the movie, which you'll call The Apprentice, includes a fake scene where President Donald Trump rapes his first wife, Ivana. He says, and again, I would call this, something he should be sued over, but also election interference. Anyway, he's not commenting on who the distributor might be. That's the next thing. Once he gets this movie done, which he has to slam it together as fast as possible, he's got to get it out there to the general public. And who would want to carry it? I'm sure there's some television network somewhere. So this guy invents a scene where Donald Trump rapes his first wife, even after Ivana repeatedly said that never took place, that never happened. And now basically he's hoping to do this stunt just in time for the second debate to influence the American public, which the only people, as you and I both know, who would go watch something like that are people who would believe something like that already anyway. Joe Biden's daughter, Ashley, claims, this gets into all sorts of things about Joe Biden, which somebody should make a movie about that, because there's some really creepy allegations about Joe Biden. But you don't see movies made about stuff like that, right? Do you remember, some of you might remember, I never watched it, but there was a movie about George W. Bush that was made, and it ended with the assassination of George W. But nobody ever got in trouble for that. In fact, there were several movies that were fake movies made about George W., just designed to make him look bad during an election year. The good news is nobody ever really watches these things. Again, except the people who would already believe garbage like this. So this guy's going to go ahead and put this movie about Trump together in just a very short period of time, slam it all together, try to get someone who's going to carry the thing. RH is in Wiggins, Colorado. Hi, Glenn. I wonder if the director will also make a Joe Biden movie at the same time, graphically depicting Joe Biden sharing with his daughter. That's exactly what I was about to get into. No, he won't. Nobody will. And if they did, it would be called slanderous and somebody would be taken to court, right? Coming up on some local business you and I have to take care of. News time. After that update on your weather forecast, you and I get back into it with a nice long segment of open phones. 888-97 Woods, the phone number, 888-97-WOODS. It's Wake Up Wyoming.
Friday.
Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods, on air, online, and on the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app. Be part of the show at 888-97-WOODS. This is K2 Radio.
Time's 8:36, Wake Up Wyoming. All right, phone number to get involved, 888-97-WOODS. That's 888-97-WOODS. And as you're hearing, plenty of people send me text messages while I'm there, so just use the Wake Up Wyoming app. Download it at your app store for free. Just hit the chat option, and you can send me text messages while I'm on the air. Now, I got several things I'm going to go through, which means I'm going to be topic hopping. And if I can do that, then you can go ahead and change the subject to 888-97-WOODS, the phone number. Parents say a school principal humiliated their son, barred him from delivering patriotic speech. Parents of of course, California middle school student are calling on their son's principal to be fired after they say he was discriminated against over his beliefs. The St. Bonaventure Catholic School student who was running for Commissioner of School Spirit and Patriotism. Think about that. He is running for Commissioner of School Spirit and Patriotism. Was, quote, completely humiliated after the principal barred him from giving his speech at school election rally. The mother claims his son was told to remove all parts about patriotism, ironic, from his campaign speech, or he would not be allowed to deliver it before the school assembly. In the speech, the students talk about the importance of showing respect to veterans during national anthem and while reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. Quote, Jimmy stood up to her and said he wasn't going to take those parts about patriotism out of the speech. She then told him he would not be speaking. Jimmy sat on stage with all the other candidates while they did their speeches. So then the kids were directed. They were hosting a rally to skip Jimmy. All the kids were hosting a rally for the kid. That was skipped. He was on stage for an hour in front of his peers, teachers, parents, and he said he was humiliated. He just wasn't allowed to speak. So, okay, we'll see if the teacher gets in trouble. Pictures posted to the parents' social media accounts show the student wearing a red hat and a campaign sign, the style of Donald Trump's. However, instead of Make America Great Again, Make SBS, St. Bonaventure School, great again. He was barred from delivering the speech, and his father confronted the principal and vice principal in assembly and accused them of not letting his son speak because his views didn't align with theirs. The principal then called the police department to remove the upset father, who had already moved away from the students and facility. After the officers showed up and talked with the father, he told him he was free to stay and watch the rest of the family's attendance. The student's mother claims the principal later lied about the entire incident, so we'll see what happens here. Be interesting if any kind of action is taken against the principal and vice principal in this case. Now, another story for you. I came across some charts showing inflation, and this has to do with fast food. Now, this is what I told you before, that as Biden continues to tell us, inflation. Oh, no, we see it. We go to the grocery store. We see it, right? We know. Well, for the longest time, when I would get off work, not every day, but every once in a while, I'd swing by like a Subway sandwich shop because I like their tuna sandwich, something like that, right? And I didn't mind doing it because it was so inexpensive to do. But then the price suddenly jumped, and I don't blame Subway for that. And I finally had to say, I can't do this anymore. I can't. It's too expensive. And I hate that because that's a little treat that I would give myself. So, okay. Medium French fries, average price fast food joint. End of 2019. End of the year 2019. Price would be $1.79 for a medium French fry. Today, $4.19. Percentage increase, 134.1%. A McChicken at McDonald's was $1.29. Today, $3.89. Price increase, 201.6%. Big Mac. We're not just going to pick on McDonald's here. There's other places. But Big Mac was, at the end of 2019, $3.99. Today, $7.49. Increase of 87.7%. And I've heard people complain about this. McNuggets. End of 2019, $4.49. Today, $7.58. That's an increase of 68.8%. Now, you could get just a basic cheeseburger at McDonald's for $1. I remember that. Go to McDonald's. It's not much. It's that little bit of bread, which I never really liked their bread. The little slab of meat, a couple of pickles on it. And I guess they put ketchup or whatever on, I forget. That was $1. And I used to constantly say to people, if you want to make more than minimum wage, quit flipping burgers on the dollar menu because you'll never make a living flipping burgers on the dollar menu. You got to do better than that. Get yourself out of that situation. If you are living today absolutely broke, you can get yourself out of the situation, but it takes a lot of hard work. Today, that dollar cheeseburger is $3.15. That's a 215% increase. Let's see. There's Burger King. There's In-N-Out Burger, Jack in the Box. I just want to make sure. No, I didn't see. Okay, I wanted to double check to see if there was a Subway there because that's where I was going. Let's go to Taco Bell. Beefy 5-layer burrito at the end of 2019 was $1.69. Now it's $3.69. 118.3% increase. Nacho Bella Grande at the end of 2019 was $3.29. Now it's $5.89, 79% increase. Spicy potato soft taco was $1 in 2019. Now that's just $1.19. That's a 19% increase. We're not doing too bad there. Let's see. This one, the Crunch Wrap Supreme. I don't eat there, so I don't know. $3.49 at the end of 2019. Now $5.29. That's a 51.6% increase. Mark in Centennial. Morning, Mark.
Good morning, Glenn. How are you?
Very good, sir. What you got?
Well, I think I was the guy who started the government shouldn't pick winners and losers.
Uh-huh.
And first of all, I would like to thank the people that got involved in Laramie on the parking lot to low-income housing. It's kind of a dead deal. So they're now back to the original plan, which they built a new city yard up at the old Wyotech Center up by the Cathedral Home, north of town. So the old city yard was going to be redeveloped as housing.
Right.
That part of town, there's a motel there that they may contam with blight, and there's contaminants at the yard that they have to clean up. But the rumor was they were going to give that land to a developer. So I went in and I talked to Chelsea Mathers, and she's the assessor, and that's not true. However, the city wants to allow the developer not to be taxed on housing, which, there will be a lawsuit if they try that between the county assessor's office and the city. And then they want to have the developer allowed to pay for the property. It's not giving it to them, but it's by taxing, by giving the developer tax revenue from the city and the county and the rest of us who pay our property taxes to the developer so that he can pay for the property and the development. That's picking winners and losers.
That really is. And too bad you didn't get a deal like that when you wanted to get into your place.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it would have been great.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I've had this place for 100 years, and I'm still paying taxes on it.
Yeah, I got to run.
So,
I hate to cut you off, but I got to run for time's sake. Thanks for calling in, Mark.
People in the public, please get involved.
All right, thank you. It's Wake Up Wyoming.
Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods on K2 Radio. Join the conversation at 888-97-WOODS.
8:49 is the time. Wake Up Wyoming. Off we go to the icebox. Frank Gambino is waiting by. Let me see here. Frank came across this story that says he gives instructions on how you can meet Casper's baseball team.
Which baseball? Oh, the Spuds.
Yes.
They start this weekend.
Yeah, so Drew is our guy down the hallway from you.
Yeah.
This is how to meet the 2014 Casper Spuds.
Spuds.
Yes, and let's see, can you figure it out? Let me see. All the movies listed below have a common denominator.
Baseball.
Yes. And, of course, the answer is baseball, he said. All right, loved it when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And then he gives an America's Pastime Spuds back for season 2.
Yes.
Okay.
They have moved here from Caldwell, Idaho, and then they have local ownership.
Okay.
Had a nice, it's a collegiate league where guys play after their college seasons just to stay in shape and, improve their stock. Maybe they want to move up the ladder in baseball some way, somehow.
Okay.
So they come and hang out for the summer and play some ball. Okay. You go out there and you can watch the game. You can have some beer. Life is good.
He said the season officially begins tomorrow, but today you can meet the great players and coaches who will make up the 2024 roster at the range at 5150. And then go to the Wake Up Wyoming site. It shows you where that is and how to get in there and get tickets.
That's the indoor golf
players
place over on the east side of town that used to be at the Wyoming Athletic Club.
One thing I do like about living in Wyoming, since we have a smaller population, you can do stuff like that. Would you like to go meet the governor?
You can
just walk into the Capitol, and if he's not busy, he'll come out and say hi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just really that simple. What a great... Hang on, Frank, that didn't come out right. Here we go again.
All right, here we go. All right, the boys All-State high school soccer list did come out yesterday. Casper Kelly Walsh had a remarkable 6 players make first-team All-State. Parker O'Neill was a 3-time All-State selection. Britton Butler, Cameron Jimenez, and Bo Barkley are 2-time All-State picks. Ethan Leslie and Caden Boyce are making All-State for the first time. Cheyenne Central, who finished second at the 4A state tournament, had 5 players make All-State. Nate Brenchley, Sammy Shunway, and Logan Custis are two-time All-State picks. Leo Somerset and Sam Smith are first-time picks for the Indians. And Carson Bush of Laramie and Brendan Bowman from Cheyenne East also making for a All-State. In the state high school track meet was held over the weekend in Casper. There were several ladies that really had just outstanding meets. In 1A, Addison Barnes of Cokeville won 4 events. It's not very often you see a 40-point person at the state track meet. The 200 meters she won, along with the 100 hurdles, the 300 hurdles, and the high jump. In 2A, Lainey Walker from Kemmerer won 3 events, both of the hurdle races and the pole vault. In 2A, Melody Zumbrunnan of Lusk won the 100, the 200, and the long jump. In 3A, Jaylee Antonino from Mountain View won the triple jump, the high jump, and the 100 hurdles. Brooklyn Asmus of Torrington won all 3 sprints in 3A, the 100, the 200, and the 400. And Talia Morris of Cheyenne Eastwood had a tremendous meet. She set the All-State record in the long jump and also won the 100 and 200. In Major League Baseball, the Colorado Rockies losing to Oakland 5-4. That broke the 8-game losing streak for the A's as Esquiel Tovar had 2 home runs for Colorado. No, not much interest in baseball in Oakland. They only had 4,005 in attendance yesterday. Girls high school softball, the season ended over the weekend in Gillette with Thunder Basin three-peating as the state champion with a 10-0 win over Cheyenne East in the championship game. East finished the season at 24-7. Natrono finished at 15-8-2. Cheyenne Central 11-14. Laramie 11-17. Kelly Walsh 6-15-1. And Cheyenne South went 0-17 on the year. That's it in sports.
Wasn't the Oakland A's, was that the team that Moneyball was based on?
Yes.
Okay. And what's happened to them since then?
Well, nobody goes to the games, and they haven't been very good lately.
Right.
And they're probably in the position also in the tanking mode.
Okay.
Now they said, you know what, we are tired of a lousy lease at our stadium where nobody goes, and it's really more of a football stadium than they put baseball in there. It's like, you know what, there's greener pastures in Vegas.
Do they still use the Moneyball philosophy?
Yeah, they would have to.
Yeah,
I mean, you get your best value for the cheapest price.
Yeah, right. Okay. I just kind of look. A friend of mine convinced me to watch the movies. I know you're not into sports, but you'll appreciate what they did.
Yeah.
And it actually worked.
It works, yeah.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, Frank. Coming up on some local business that we got to take care of. We're going to roll into news time after that. National local update on the weather forecast. I got a lot of topic hopping to do, but it is open phone, so you can go ahead and interrupt me if you want to. 888-97 Woods the phone number. That's 888-97 WOODS. Wake up, Wyoming.
It's fraud.
.06 the time. Wake up, Wyoming. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. It's a Wednesday. Over the hump we go. 888-97 Woods the phone number. 888-97 WOODS.
Today's show is sponsored by Sweet and Spicy Toilet Paper. Because life is, you need...
Just stop.
I mean, life needs...
No, stop.
Okay, I don't know why you would need this.
But it's a great gag gift.
Warning, this show contains reference to guns, liberty, limited government, low taxation, the cult of climate change, free thinking, cigar smoking, short people, rubber chickens, Karen's bureaucracy, liberal buzzwords, tour runs, traffic, toilets, terrible jokes, and more. No apologies will be issued. Guest callers may express any opinion they want without fear of being canceled. Unless you're a loudmouth jerk like Dave, then Glenn will hang up on you. Strap in, hold on to your coffee, and feel free to participate.
This disclaimer does not refer to every person named Dave. Just one particular Dave from San Francisco. We know a lot of Daves. They call this show all the time, and they're great people. So don't call this program and complain that we use your name. That would be a real Dave move, Dave.
So here's a story which I'm going to take a little bit of a different twist on it. It just says, it's very innocent, WYDOT, Wyoming Department of Transportation, works to open more alpine highways by Memorial Day. Now, the problem up there is snow. Sounds reasonable, right? The upcoming Memorial Day weekend, the story says, marks the official start of summer travel season. It's also the target for reopening several alpine highways that have been closed for winter. Well, while most of us put away our snow shovels, Jeez. And winter coats. WYDOT crews have been battling snow and ice with several seasonal closures for summertime travel. In other words, they keep opening up these roads and they keep closing again. Wyoming is home to several high-altitude highways WYDOT deems impractical to keep open during the wintertime. There's pictures of this here with, wow, is it piled high? It's not supposed to be. You know, climate change and all that. It's not supposed to be there. Remember now, in the year 2000, we were told that snow was a thing of the past. It's going to be such a rare and exciting event when it happens that we're going to have to explain it to our kids. That's what we were told back in 2000. So for you people who live in parts of Wyoming and Colorado who got snow over the past couple of days, check your calendar. We're 5 months into the year. Would you please take your kids outside and show them the snow and explain to them what that is? Because apparently they don't know. And would somebody please explain why WYDOT keeps trying to open up these roads and they keep getting closed because of all the snow? There was a severe weather advisory yesterday for the northern part of the Bighorn Mountains because of all the snow they were getting that closed down Highway 14. Well, that's not supposed to happen. Story says reopening in the springtime requires removing deep drifted snow with specialized equipment, like the rotary plow, which I love watching the rotary plow. It's just a badass machine. WYDOT senior heavy mechanic says it can take 4 foot of snow straight down to an inch of snow. So that definitely helps a lot. Now, again, if snow is now a thing of the past, why would we need a machine that can get rid of 4 foot of snow and take it down almost to the pavement? Operations have become more efficient in recent years, story says, with the addition of GPS equipment, which snowcats quickly cut down the drifts, knowing exactly where to plow. Well, you know, they put those markers. You've seen the tall poles with the reflectors on top, but sometimes those are even covered. How is that possible when snow is a thing of the past? The big difference, the story says, is they can take on a lot more snow at a faster pace and don't have to as much trouble trying to cut through a straight snow. However, the work is remote and hard on the equipment and requiring crews to be accompanied by a full-time mechanic. Quote, when they need help, I can get there as quick as possible to help them out, says the mechanic, getting them situated and just keep them going. A midwinter has helped speed efforts this year. Wyoming 77, Shirley Basin, US 14, and Bighorns are already open. Now remember, those were closed yesterday. Open again because of these snowplow guys today. So thanks to them for all the work on something that's not supposed to be there anymore. Highways over the snowy range, Beartooth Pass and Battle Pass are on track to open by Memorial Day. And travelers should expect persistent wet and icy conditions. Quote, it could be sunny one day and a blizzard the next. So we just don't want to tell everybody that's it's perfectly safe to go, but you get the idea. And here again is where I look at this and I think, okay, guys, we were told that this was a thing of the past, that we're not supposed to be getting snow anymore. In fact, there were articles that were written by Wyoming public media and other news organizations. Well, this winter, it's just so dry. This isn't typical. This isn't normal. This just isn't a good winter. Now, I know where I am. We didn't get as much snow this year. Last year, we were buried. This year, we got some snow. Mostly, it's been a very wet spring. So for my area, it just shifted over to the spring. Now, for you people who have gone through the same thing, you're probably in the eastern part of Wyoming, where I am too. If you're in the western part of Wyoming, you got a lot of snow. It's just over the divide. That was the big difference. And most of that had to do with how the weather was approaching us. If you're listening down in Colorado, there are still ski resorts open in Colorado right now. And they recently got some fresh snow, way up in the mountains, of course. They will stay open as late as they can. And when I was talking to Don Day about this, Don said, hey, there's times that some of those ski resorts are open all the way through July. So you never know. Now, that's the way the weather's currently going. We will have, and we have had, some periods of wet. Remember that big drought we just recently went through? And it was said that, all of our reservoirs are going to dry up. This is catastrophic climate change. Now we have more water than we know what to do with in most of the West. And so we'll have that for a while, but then it'll go back to drought conditions again because, gosh, don't you know, things happen in cycles. They do. And this is where, and I'm watching weather forecasters talk about it, but you know that La Nina, El Nino effect, which has to do with cycles of the sun. That decides what kind of wet we're going to get, not just here out west, but in other parts of the country. And we're once again transitioning between one and the other. And I always forget which is which, but you get the idea. And as we transition from one to the next, the sun has just gotten through a very active period, and it's starting to calm down again. It will. Remember that big solar flare we just recently got? Things will calm down again, and when it does, our weather patterns will change. And as our weather patterns change, you know what the outcry is going to be. But I still have to ask the question because I love pointing this kind of stuff out. If snow is a thing of the past, that's what we're told back in 2000, then why are we having so much trouble here in Wyoming, for example, keeping these passes open this late in the year? And why are they still skiing up in the Rocky Mountains in Colorado?
Is your life boring? Are you too young for a midlife crisis, but tired of waiting for something to trigger an existential crisis? Why not try generalized anxiety disorder? Make every day a crisis.
Yep, there you have it. A new level of crazy. And you heard it here first. Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods on K2 Radio. Got something to say? Chat him on the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app or call 888-97-WOODS.
Chet Yoder drops me this note. I know I'm nuts and you don't pay much attention, but you know you live on a great American desert, right? Yes, I do know that, Chet. But remember, this area used to be a swamp and also used to be at the bottom of an ocean. So Greg is in Laramie. Morning, Greg.
Morning, Glenn.
Yes, sir.
I didn't get it. I already heard Mark, so I didn't have to talk to him individually, so that was great. I did...
I still want to know how that
anyway.
happens. I still want to know. But okay, go ahead.
Well, it's button pushing.
Yes,
and it was very interesting. I do want to say, I heard your McDonald's thing, but did that particular article explain how much the stock price has gone up since 2019?
No, this was just about fast food. It just focused on fast food. And I could have taken another article that would have just focused on the grocery stores, too, if I want to do that, or car prices.
But basically, the stock market, the stock has gone up the same amount as the inflation's gone up. So basically, it's a tax on people eating to pay for the people that own McDonald's stock, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
60% rise in McDonald's
stock.
Are
you saying that the stock prices caused the rise at McDonald's?
What I'm saying is that corporate profits have a lot more to do with the inflation, so-called inflation.
Right.
So let's be a little bit honest.
Well, okay, let's be a little bit more realistic. You want to do this? Hang on. You want to do this? Let's be a little more realistic. Certain businesses like McDonald's, Walmart, places like that, dollar stores, they have learned you don't make a lot of money by raising your prices. You keep prices as low as you can because it's a volume business.
You can say that, but again, I will continue to say you can even look at the current bankruptcy of the current bankruptcy of the fish place, mm-hmm. which I don't go to. The corporate raiders basically bought the thing, sold the land out from underneath it, and ran the lease rates up.
That's not why they went downhill. But now let's go back to how this works. You take a look at a dollar store. Every single thing that is sold at a dollar store, they make literally pennies per item. Yet, because the prices are so low, items are just going through that register all day long. That register never gets a chance to rest all day long. So that's why your dollar stores, whatever company you're talking about, they're some of the most successful stores in America. They make loads of money, not because they're raising prices. If they raised their prices, business would slow down.
Well, then why did the dollar store go out and Laramie if it's such a good business?
Well, no. You're just picking just Laramie. Dollar stores are growing all over the nation. They're really, it's great business, especially during an inflationary time.
Absolutely, they're under pressure because they overbought, just like every
sure.
corporation, and they're again. If you're saying the free market always works the best, I would argue there's no such thing as a free market.
Well, not in America anymore. It's not. Back when we did have a free market in America, there was. That's not true. There was a free market, but now you got a lot of government control of the free market, which actually does hurt it. But yeah, it does work for the best. What doesn't work is as soon as government gets control of something, you can guarantee it's going to be hard to get and the prices are going to be high.
Yeah, the government did terrible in World War II. Just absolutely awful.
They did, actually. Yes, they actually did. And they not only did they just do terrible there, but, I mean, take a look at how they have just absolutely destroyed healthcare in America by taking it over.
Well, that was a leap.
Mm-hmm.
Again, if you go back and look, what basically happens is we absorbed the GM healthcare system, General Motors, and that was a mistake. I don't disagree with that, but that's what everybody wanted. People got used to it, and so and again, you used to pay into your corporate, and then as soon as you get 65, whenever the wheels fall off, that's when you go on to the government. Privatize the profits, publicize the losses. That is corporations in America.
Yeah. You have, my friend Greg, a very distorted view of how the free market works and how government absolutely destroys the free market by trying to get involved and do it from the top down, especially because you have people in government, your politicians and bureaucrats, who know nothing about how the free market works. Remember, they're in government. They don't know how the free market works, and yet they're trying to control it. No wonder it doesn't work. They don't know how to fix healthcare or anything else for that matter. And yet we want to put them in charge of these things? No wonder we have prices out of control and a wrecked economy.
If we would operate healthcare like we operated the military, generals do not make that much money.
Greg,
and they
have you ever
really
wait, Greg, before you embarrass yourself anymore with this analogy, and you are really making a fool out of yourself, you go take a look at how much of a mess the books are for the military. The military budget is they need to be audited. They really do. And by the way,
and why isn't Barrasso and our legislature
I would love them to.
Instead of worrying about what happens on college
every
campus.
So often somebody does.
We elect terrible people.
Yes, we do.
They're controlled by people.
Wow, you and I agree on that part anyway. But no, I mean, especially because let's take a look at this. Let's go back since you were talking World War II. Let's back up, and I will bust for you one of the greatest fallacies out there. So when we had a huge stock market crash and almost a depression, and then we came out of it really fast. And then we had what we call the Great Depression, and that's when the president at the time and the government came along and said, we're going to handle this. And the more they tried to fix it, the longer they made the depression last. And then we got into World War II, which many people say the depression ended at World War II. No, World War II made the depression worse worldwide. And it didn't end until we got out of it and everybody came home from the war and started building homes and making babies. And that's when we finally got out of it. Your government extended the Great Depression for far longer than it needed to be. And not just here in America, but in Europe, too.
We'll go back to your first one.
Yeah.
Those capital investments made by the CCC, we are still using today.
Yeah, that's horrible. And we need to stop it, Greg. And we need to stop it.
Industrializing America.
We need to. Yeah,
we have profits today.
It's a horrible idea that needs to stop. It wrecks everything.
The CCC investments that were made by that president
was horrible.
Still used today.
Yes, and it was a horrible idea back then, and it's a horrible idea today that needs to stop. We might still be doing
Sorry.
it, but that doesn't mean it's a good idea.
Again, if you're worried about our military, then take it up with Barrasso.
Oh, I
take
would
it up
love
with
to.
Lummis,
take
it up with Hagen.
You wouldn't believe the things that I talk
75% of
about
our
with them.
budget.
Would you please stop voting to spend more money? I got to run for news time. Thanks for calling in, Greg. Always a fun to have a debate with you. So, no, honestly, he's not a believer in the free market. Papa Whiskey and Casper. This guy doesn't realize that the stock market is not the economy. And that's true. The stock market is not in fact, the stock market is not even a reflection of the economy. Oftentimes, the stock market does exactly the opposite of what the economy is doing. But hang on, I know I'm getting a lot of comments on this, which I appreciate it when Greg calls because I get a lot of comments. And we'll talk about this as soon as we're done with local news and an update on your weather forecast. Wake up, Wyoming.
Live and local, all across Wyoming. Wake up, Wyoming, with Glenn Woods on K2 Radio. Join in at 888-97-WOODS or the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app.
9:30 to 6 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. So I'm going to go and finish up a little bit with what I wanted to talk to Greg about. But first I wanted to talk to a caller real quick here. Is the KDB in Pavilion. He writes, had to go to news, then you are continuing to talk after interrupting the caller many times. Yes, you have the warning there are no rules, but the caller won't be welcome to disagree with you. Here's what happens, just so you know. When I have a caller on the air, sometimes they will tend to ramble, which is, I understand they have something they want to say, but they'll tend to ramble. And I start to notice, and I watch for this, they've made their point, but they're continuing to make their point over and 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 over, and they're saying the same thing. Well, I only have so much time on the clock I have to watch because I'm going to hit the bottom of the hour, and the news is going to cut me off. Literally, the computer shuts my microphone off. So we need to get in as much of this conversation as we can in the allotted time. And so sometimes you will hear me interrupt a caller so we can get to the point of the conversation. Not trying to be rude, but I can't let someone ramble on forever when the clock is ticking. So I have to do that. And then Chet and Yoder, it's the lack of oxygen in Laramie causes brain damage. Okay. Wild Dog in Buffalo, Greg needs to get his head out of his back pocket. And let me see, Papa Whiskey, this guy doesn't realize that the stock market is not the economy, which is true. The stock market doesn't even reflect the economy. And RH in Wiggins, Colorado. Glenn, and government selective favoritism with the free market has destroyed it too. Greg is not a firm believer, it doesn't seem to me, to be in the free market. And one of the reasons that things have been so affordable for so long, right now we have a problem, but we have had cheap grocery prices up until now. And if you think grocery prices were high, trust me, go look at the rest of the world. The United States has had very cheap grocery prices. Our clothing, our food, and our energy, even when gas prices are high, they're low compared to the rest of the world. Buying an automobile, buying a house has been so low for us. We've actually done really well in America. Problem is Americans spend money like a bunch of idiots. When we get money, we tend to blow it. We're not savers like our parents used to be. But the high inflation has not really anything to do with the stock market or corporate greed or anything like that. Your government came along at the beginning of COVID and shut the economy down. And the restart of the economy has been under a lot of control, especially by the Biden administration, especially when it has to do with energy. Because if energy is expensive, everything is going to be expensive. One of many reasons why. Okay. Now, one thing that Greg often gets wrong, and so do a lot of other people, is when we have a company that raises prices, really raises prices high. Well, it's corporate greed. They're raising prices because they're trying to get rich. Anyone who really knows how to do business knows that making things too expensive is going to hurt business. look up something, if you're interested in doing this, called the Laffer curve. Now, Laffer curve has to do really with taxes, but it is Art Laffer was it was Nobel Prize. He won an economic award, and I was trying to remember which one it was. Might have been Nobel. Anyway, Laffer curve shows a bell curve. How you can go ahead and charge as much as you can for something, but at some point you reach a curve where you get less and less business. And the same goes for taxes. If you charge too much in taxes, eventually you're getting less in taxes. All right. And so this is the way the economy works. And smart business people understand that charging way too much for something means you're going to get fewer customers and make less money. Making money is a volume business. So you want things to be as much as you can charge without going over the bell curve. And that works when there's a lot of competition. And one thing that government does when government takes over any industry is it kills competition. Killing competition will make things less efficient and more expensive. And cause a bunch of other problems too. Which is why what we need to do is to get government out of the business sector as much as possible. The only thing government should be there for is when somebody is being dishonest, government will handle it. Other than that, let the competitors beat it and fight it out in the marketplace. Tim and Casper, hard to save when paychecks barely cover expenses. Yeah. And those prices keep going up and up and up again. And when a president comes along and says, I'm going to lower inflation, and there's the problem. The president is trying to control the economy. And that's part of what's going to cause inflation. A free market economy doesn't work from the top down. The only thing government should be there for is, again, to make sure the game is played honestly, fair. Okay. Take care of the people who are trying to rip us off and rip each other off. The game needs to be played fair. We may have a few rules to make the capitalism game fair. Other than that, stay out of it. And just let the competition beat each other up over trying to get our business. Think about that, because that's how it works. They beat each other up to try to get our business, which means they have to provide the best quality product with the best service at the best price. And those are the people who win, because that's who you're going to go with. Not who government tells you to buy from, but for who you choose to buy from. Those are your choices. Let's wake up.
Where Wyoming comes to talk. This is Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods on K2 Radio. Be part of the show at 888-97-WOODS.
9:48 is the time. Wake Up Wyoming. Off we go to talk to Frank Gambino, who's waiting by there in the icebox. Okay, this entire little topic here, Frank, is going to revolve around one little picture that I see in front of me here. Ready?
One little one.
Yes. Well, it's a little picture on my computer screen here, but it takes up quite a bit of room. And so I want you to picture there's an intersection. There's a guy in a U-Haul truck. Not the biggest one, like the mid-sized one.
Yeah.
Right? And he's trying to carry all of his stuff, the stuff in the U-Haul truck and the stuff in his double wide down the road.
He's towing the double wide.
Yes. I'm sorry, single wide.
Single wide.
Single wide, yeah. And when he gets to this one street corner, there's no way he's going to make the turn.
Yeah.
So he's got to run through the grass.
And is there a culvert there?
I'm supposing that there is, yeah.
Okay.
And so first off, someone writes, when U-Haul tells you, yes, it will pull a trailer. Well, it is a trailer, yeah. And the other person writes on this, what in the hillbilly meth lab is going on here?
Now, if the grass was flat,
yes,
I would risk it. You know,
okay.
and let people complain and moan and say, you know what, I'm
an
idiot, but I need to finish this journey.
Yes.
So I don't be an idiot any more than I already am.
Yeah, but you got to figure, first off, again, mid-size U-Haul, right? And then the length of a single wide. That's a long thing. I mean, even semi-truck drivers don't pull something that long.
Well, don't you need a permit for that?
Do you really think this guy... cares about a permit. I don't think he does. No, I don't. No.
Don't tell me this is in Florida.
You know, it doesn't. When I look at the landscape, it doesn't. But it's got to be
something.
someplace in the South. I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But okay, now he's got to get that into the trailer park. This is what I wonder about next. Is he good at backing stuff up?
Yeah. Oh, somebody should have taken pictures and video of this entire process.
Oh my God, yeah.
We could have made money.
I'm going out on a limb, Frank. He's going to a trailer park somewhere.
I'm thinking so, and he probably won't fit it in there either.
Exactly. So somehow he's got to back this thing into his spot at the trailer park, and that's something he hadn't thought of yet.
Yeah, and he can't just leave it there right in the middle of the street and say, "Oh, we'll deal with it later." Like, no, you need to put that in there now, because the rest of us, need to get in and out.
Yeah. Okay.
And they're like, and the people at the trailer park going, you know what? There's some shady people who live in this park, but this guy, is number one ranked.
Now, there's other people at the trailer park who are going to look at this and go, "Genius! Look how much money he's saving."
That's probably true.
Yeah.
That's probably true. All right, in boys high school soccer, the all-state teams came out yesterday. On the 4A side for the boys, Kelly Walsh had 6 players make all-state. Parker O'Neill, a 3-time all-state selection. Cameron Jimenez, Britton Butler, and Bo Barkley, also 2-time all-state picks. Ethan Leslie and Caden Boyce making all-state for the very first time. Cheyenne Central had 5 players make all-state, and 3 of them for the second time. Logan Custis, Sammy Shumway, and Nate Brenchley. Leo Somerset and Sam Smith all-state for the first time. Carson Bush from Laramie and Brendan Bowman from Cheyenne East also making the 4A boys all-state list in soccer. The state high school softball tournament did conclude on Saturday in Gillette. Thunder Basin won the state title for the 3rd year in a row, beating Cheyenne East 10-0. East finished second for the 2nd year in a row. And for the season, Cheyenne East was 24-7. Natrona 15-8-2. Laramie 11-7. Cheyenne Central 11-14. Kelly Walsh 6-15-1. And Cheyenne South went 0-17. In Major League Baseball, the Colorado Rockies will be in the Bay Area again tonight to take on the Oakland A's. Oakland won last night's game over the Rocks 5-4. So the A's broke an 8-game losing streak. Ezequiel Tovar hit 2 home runs for the Rockies, but not much interest in the game between two teams that are not very good. Just 4,005 fans at the Coliseum in Oakland to watch that. And the state track and field meet concluded for the high schoolers on Saturday in Casper. In 1A, Addison Barnes of Cokeville was amazing. She won 4 events. The 200, the 100 hurdles, the 300 hurdles, and the high jump. You don't see very many 40-point kids in the state track meet. In 2A, Lainey Walker of Kemmerer won both of the hurdle races in the pole vault. Melody Zumbrunnen of Lusk won the 100, the 200, and the long jump. Jaylee Antonino of Mountain View won the triple jump, the high jump, and the 100 hurdles. And Brooklyn Asmus of Torrington won all 3 sprints, 100, 200, and 400. And Talia Morris of Cheyenne East won the 100, the 200, and the long jump, and set the all-class record in the long jump as well. That's it in sports.
And they did it in all that wind and rain.
Well, no, Saturday was nice.
Oh, well, Saturday was nice.
Yeah,
okay.
Saturday was nice. So most of those events, the sprints and stuff, were done on Saturday. Friday was bad. Right. But at least they gave the kids the best opportunity to compete. They work all season, and springs in Wyoming they're dreadful, really.
Yeah.
I mean, you just got to plow through all that stuff and say, whoa, we got a decent day for a track meet.
Yeah.
We got a decent day for a soccer match and a softball game.
Are they doing anything this weekend?
No, we're done.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, just making sure. All right, thank you, Frank. Coming up on some local business we have to take care of. We're going to roll into news time after that. National local update on the weather forecast. Please remember, if you missed anything on this program, you want to go back, it becomes a podcast when I'm done. So download the Wake Up Wyoming app if you haven't already. It's free. When you open it up, look at the toolbar left-hand side. Touch on demand. Touch Wake Up Wyoming. Select your episode. We condense it. We get rid of news, sports, weather, most commercials to really condense it down to the meat of the program so you don't have a whole 4 hours to listen to. And you can do it on your schedule for free. It's Wake Up Wyoming.